Hi, so this is my look at the comics what picks up this Saturday. So 10 issues in total, and we'll start with Image first. I do apologise if the volume's not as good. Couldn't plug in my microphone, so just have to make do with the phone's crappy one. So the first issue I'm going to look at is Grommets, issue 1 of 7. $3.99. I think there's about 24, 26 story pages by Rick Remender, Brian Posehn on art writing, and Brett Parson and Marino D'Inocio on colours, on artwork. This is gorgeous. This wasn't in my pull box. I just saw it on the new releases shelves, and I picked up on it. As soon as I looked through it, I asked them to put it on my pull list from now on. And I adore this comic. There's no superheroes, no monsters, no crime or thriller elements. It's just slice of life about these young kids in Midtown America in 1984 when the skateboarding craze was all in boom. And it's these young 13, 14-year-olds trying to prove that there's something on the skate park. That's what their life revolves around. And it's about the fish out of water story as well, story trope. So this young lad moves to this town, and of course he's trying to fit in, trying to find out who his people are, and it's just fantastic. I don't want to give too much away because, like I said, because there's not any thriller elements or horror elements or superhero elements, to give away the relationships what were built up in here would ruin the enjoyment of the comic. It's almost like an Archie comic for that kind of comfort read, especially if you're like me, if you're 50 or late 40s, early 50s. You'll get a lot from this because it'll bring back memories of that time period. It feels like a John Hughes comic, John Hughes film, or Richard Linklater slacker movie compressed into a comic, and it's all the better for it. It's been one of the most fun reads I've had in a long time. I stopped Ultimate Spider-Man, and this has taken the place of Ultimate Spider-Man, and I have no regrets. Best decision I made for this month in buying comics. And yeah, 10 out of 10, just a perfect comic. Do yourself a favour. It's only 7 issues long, and it's a really wonderful, just a good palate cleanser from so much of the same old, who lets a big fight superhero comics. Wonderful, 10 out of 10. And then talking about wonderful comics, from the Universal Monsters line of miniseries by Skybound Image is Creature from Black Lagoon Lives, and this is issue 2. Nice cardstock cover, really high quality paper, gorgeous cover. This is the cover of the week easily, by Dan Waters, Ram V, and artwork by Matthew Roberts and colouring by Dave Stewart. And instead of being like a reimagination of Creature from Black Lagoon, this is like a sequel to it. And there's a tandem story going on where this woman is in the Amazonian jungle looking for this serial killer that she thinks is killing these people. But the locals are hunting for this creature, the creature from Black Lagoon, who they think is killing the people. And both the stories kind of intertwine. And it's so well written by Ramvi and Dan Waters. You're thinking with two writers on the comic, it could become cluttered, could become confusing. No. They've worked together, so they work together in the studio together as well. They work so well together in tandem that you can't tell where one begins and the other ends. And it's not verbose. They know for this kind of comic it needs to be punchy, it needs to be quick, and it keeps you invested in the story. It builds on the drama from the ground setting drama of the first issue, and the mystery increases and the level of threat increases as well. And 9 out of 10. This was my second favourite comic of the week. And my third favourite comic of the week, I think my favourite comics have come from Image mostly this week, is The Six Fingers number 4, again by Dan Waters, artwork by Sumit Kumar. $3.99. Wonderful cover by Sumit Kumar there. Gorgeous artwork inside. Again, less is more in the writing in this from Dan Waters. This goes in tandem and parallel with the One Hand by Ram V. That covers the detective side of the story, this covers the serial killer side. And this explores more about what the mysterious symbols mean, that it's actually a language for a particular type of people, what you find about in this. I cannot divulge much more because it will give away so much of the plot. This is a very important issue. It's got that perfect Blade Runner kind of like futuristic but retro, noirish detective gumshoe kind of feel to it. Yeah, wonderful. 9 out of 10. And the last image one is one that divides a lot of people. Some people like it, some people kind of go, I love it. And this is World Tree number 10. And I love that cover. The colours on that cover are amazing. This for me is how Ultimate Spider-Man number 4 should have been. It's quite a talky comic, but it's like it feels like a novel, like you're reading a novel, like with say Stephen King Chunker, where you get like It or The Stand, where you can digress for a few hundred pages, but you forgive him for it because he introduces some new elements to the story, and that's what this does as well. It fleshes out some of the minor characters who you know will have a more major part later on in the story. I have complete trust in James Tynion IV, and the artwork is gorgeous by Blanco, and the colouring by Jody Bellette is just absolutely beautiful. But there's lots of talking heads, but not to deference for the story, because while the talking heads going on, there's also pages of the mystery action of the naked woman going on as well, who's Gabriel's sister. Gabriel is the inventor of World Tree, and it elaborates more on that. It feels like a William Gibson thriller, futuristic thriller, that has that futuristic, slightly horrific tropes, as if it was directed by David Cronenberg, and I love it. Again, 9 out of 10. Just have a little drink from my coffee. And yes, it's a station cup from Bill and Ted. So, on to DC. One of my other favourite comics this week is Detective Comics issue 1085. Beautiful cover. $4.99, but there's 30 pages at least of comic stories, so I have no qualms about paying that for this comic. Beautiful artwork by Stefano Raffaele, who I think was doing Catwoman for a bit, but he's really coming to his own on here. His art is so suited for this story, very European. I think he's either European or Brazilian, something like that. And yeah, it's got a lot, almost like a Pope meets the guy who did the original Torpedo comic from Europe, and it's really blends well with the story beats of Ram V. And this is Batman on home turf, back in his home territory. He's not beaten down anymore. He's kind of like burst out of his chrysalis, even stronger. And it's we're in the final stages now of Ram V's overarching story, which had 3 acts and 1 intermission. This is the final act, and he actually writes brilliant Mr. Freeze. I'm not a big fan of Mr. Freeze, but how he writes him, he makes him a very compelling character, and there's a great backup focusing on Mr. Freeze, written by Alex Packnadel, one of Ram V's writing colleagues, and artwork by Christopher Mitten. And again, really makes Mr. Freeze a very intriguing, interesting character. This is if you're only going to buy one Batman comic all year, get Detective Comics. This is how Batman should be, and yeah, perfect. 9 out of 10. Batman adjacent comic, which is another high scorer for me, one that I absolutely love, and this is the Penguin. We're on to issue 10. Sadly, in a way sad, but in a way kind of bittersweet, because it's finishing with issue 12, but I think it's better than Jumping the Shark. It's at least I know it'll finish at the conclusion they want it to. And this is written by Tom King, and for me, this is Tom King's best writing on a DC comic. And artwork by Rafael Delator. Now, one thing DC has over Marvel, they keep the creative teams on. Or what they'll do, which is always good as well, they'll have a creative art team do 6 issues, have a breather, get another art team do either a 2-issue or a 4-issue story, then get the other artist back. That's how you do it, Marvel. Listen. And the quality of this has been so high for each issue, and it just keeps on getting higher and higher. You can tell it's coming to the end game now. The machinations and the things that the Penguin, that Oswald Cobblepot's put into play, make you realise that he isn't just this squat, violent psychopath. There's a brain behind him as well. He's been playing all sides: Batman's, his family's who is out to kill him, and all the other people, all the other criminal underworld. And it's great. It's like this is the Sopranos of comics. I can't praise it high enough. Again, 9 out of 10. If you've not been buying it, do get the collections. I think there's been one collection out so far, and yeah, very satisfying. Another one that divides people is The Flash by Suspiria. At the moment, it's got Ramon Perez on artwork. This is what I'm saying. Mike Diodato Jr. did the first 6 issues. Ramon Perez is on for this, the 6 issue story arc, and that is fantastic because it doesn't pull you out of the story because they're keeping the art consistent. I love this. This is basically as close as you're going to get to a Vertigo version of The Flash. This is Suspiria's Animal Man. It's head scratchy at times. You have to go back sometimes to read a version. You go, okay, I understand what I'm saying. And there's a great reveal at the end of who this guy is. I did not have a clue. Even when I read it back then, I thought, of course, but Suspiria's brain is bigger than mine. And I think that's what frustrates like your casual reader, because some people want to just be spoon-fed superheroes. They don't want it to change. They don't want a superhero to go against how they used to see the superhero. I don't care. Give me a good story that shakes up the groundwork of the superhero's lore or how the superhero's perceived, more than just the same old plodding by. This is perfect superheroes for me, and again, 9 out of 10. And like I said, the reveal at the end pays off so much. I was like, of course. And it's brilliant. Yeah, fun. This is weird sci-fi, not superhero comics. It's weird sci-fi. It's wonderful. Talking of wonderful, we're on to issue 12 now of Green Arrow. I love that simple but effective cover. The only thing that worries it for me, there's 2 art teams on this. I only understand why they're doing it. They've got Isaki, who's the regular artist, but also Phil Hester, who's been doing like the flashback elements. And of course, he was the original Green Arrow artist. And the reason why I say it worries for me is because I wish, in a way, Phil Hester was one of my favourite Green Arrow artists. So it's kind of like nice seeing him, but I kind of like, it makes me realise how much I miss him when I see the other artist, who's a great artist, don't get me wrong, but I just like Phil Hester. But even so, it's okay. This comic's not badly written, not badly drawn at all by far, but it was an epilogue issue for this storyline for 12 issues, because originally it was going to be just 12 issues and then they're going to wrap, that was it, but now it's been extended to an ongoing. And it was it was 22 pages or 20 pages of story, what could have been done in 2 pages. It was very Marvel. But it was at the same time though, it was pleasing, it was okay. It was like a family snapshot album where the main part of the story got resolved halfway through the issue, and the rest of it was just, let's just have the family get together now, give them the time together, which is fine. But yeah, I think it would have been better. This would be just being that part of the story just being on the last issue, and this just been the start of something new. So I'll give this 7 out of 10. But not by any means a bad comic. I just wanted more. Talk about more what I can't get enough of, and Conan the Barbarian number 11. Great cover by Alex Hawley, who did quite a lot of 2000 AD work back in the day. Wonderful, very Simon Bisley style. And of course you've got the brilliant Rob De La Torre back on art duties. He fluctuates between him and Dougie Braithwaite. And good old classic Conan art style, very Buscema-like in style. That splash page is amazing. So we're still back in King Cole's day, and the mysteries getting more and more timey-wimey, more and more twisted, with a lot of shocking events. I can't show you too much in here because things happen to characters what you wouldn't expect to happen to a character, and that's what I love about this comic. This is how Conan should be. When Marvel got Conan back again, it was so sanitised. This is one thing I don't like about Marvel now that they're under Disney. Everything is very, very sanitised. They make everything so PG. Like, it's a shock to the system when Get Fury was released, because it's like, it's got swearing, it's got blood. And that felt like the Marvel of old, the epic days. But that's a very rare occurrence. So Conan, when it was in with Marvel, it was so watered down, it didn't feel like a Conan comic. This is pure Conan. Jim Zub, who did the Marvel one, but you could tell the editors had their hands on it. On here, he's given free reign. There's blood, there's sex, there's violence, which is what Conan is in the books. and it's wonderful. It's never had a poor issue, and the Savage Silicon in black and white, chunky comic magazine is wonderful as well. This is one of the most consistently good comics on the stands. There's never been a dip in quality. In fact, the quality's gone up like that all the time, and it's just a joy to read. And there's lots of these explanatory boxes going on, but they add to the story because it makes you feel like you're reading the Conan book. So I've no harm. It's not like where you get like a Stan Lee comic where the boxes are actually repeating what they're saying in the bubbles as well. It's not that. These go really nicely together with the ongoing story. So yeah, 9 out of 10. Always a consistently high quality comic. And the final one, and it's my one Marvel one for this week. I'm not getting many Marvel at all at the moment, but there will be a few what I'll get in the future. And this is the book 6 of Avengers Twilight by Chip Zdarsky and Daniel Lacuna. Now, a lot of people who have watched this week have been raving over this issue. As a series, this series has been a breath of fresh air. As a final issue, it was okay. It was like a lot of Marvel comics or a lot of Marvel cinema, a lot of Marvel TV series, where you come to the final 15 minutes, 30, or the final comic, it's going to be the big fight. And for me, there's some elements in this, like a certain character appears, and I'm thinking, that's convenient. And if you've read it, you'll realise what I mean. There's just certain characters that appeared out of nowhere, what turned the battle for the heroes, and it just felt very, very convenient. It just kind of like, I felt like I'd skipped an issue. So it could be me. Maybe I have missed something in my reading of the earlier ones, but I felt like I missed an issue story-wise, and everything just got wrapped up very neatly. It was satisfying in some parts. Some of it was a bit cloyy. It wasn't as good as the rest of the story, but it was an okay ending. Artwork and story is some of the best Marvel's had in years. So comparing it to a Marvel comic, it's one of the best comics out there. Comparing it to a DC or an Image comic, it's okay. I think the reason it gets a lot of praise is because Marvel does not have another comic where it's consistent art, apart from Gods maybe, but that's finishing as well. Where they have consistent good art and good storytelling, and it's going to get wrapped up. So for that aspect, bravo Marvel for doing this, but for making it a perfect landing for the end part of the story, I don't think so. I think there's a bit of it kind of like bumps a bit on it's a bit of a bumpy landing for me. But I know other people kind of like looked over that and thought, yeah, it's great, I loved it. I'm not a reader who likes to be cuddled, who likes to be spoon-fed a happy ending when maybe there shouldn't be one. I think I wanted more impact for the ending, for the heroes as well as the antagonist. And it didn't feel like there was that much of one. There was a few losses, but one of the characters who there was a loss for, they were already basically lost. You'll get what I mean if you've been reading this, you know who I mean, because they basically lost the body in the first place. So I don't know. I would give this a 7 out of 10. I give the series as a whole 8.5 out of 10. I think it has been one of Marvel's strongest comics, but it's definitely not one of the strongest comics of the past year. But for Marvel, it's one of their strongest comics. So that's it review wise. But what my local comic shop's doing now, all graphic novels, not just the manga books, but all graphic novels are 3 for 2. And it's whenever you go in, it's not just a limited thing, it's an ongoing thing. So I thought I'll make the most of it this week. So obviously I had to budget because they had quite a few comics to pick up. So I got The Nasty, which once I've read I will give a review of. This is by Tony Lees and Cahoon on the artwork. This is meant to be a really good horror comic. So I got that graphic novel. I got Kaya Volume 1. I did have the first few issues of this, but somehow I missed a few issues, so I stopped buying the comic. So I'm going to get it in book form. And then finally, one comic I've wanted for ages is by Rob Williams and Trevor Herzine and Travel Foreman and Class War. It used to be a UK comic, and then Image did the collected version. So yeah, so you might start to get a few reviews of these. Definitely this one when I finish this. Okay, so that's it. So most likely the next thing you'll see will be a review of this, and I think we're coming up for another look at A Month's Worth for 2000 AD. So yeah, hope you've had a nice week, and I speak to you soon. I speak to you soon. I will speak to you soon. Bye.